On my birthday, I had no clue what awaited me. It all began like any other day, filled with excitement, anticipation, and the typical birthday greetings and gifts. My husband had been acting somewhat oddly in the days leading up to my special day, but I figured he was just organizing a lovely surprise. I was accustomed to his grand surprises, romantic dinners, exotic trips, or just something thoughtful and personal between us. However, this birthday was about to take a completely unforeseen turn, one that would alter my perception of our relationship forever. The day started off normally, with my husband wishing me a happy birthday first thing in the morning. He kissed me passionately, and I could feel there was something different in his demeanor, almost as if he was concealing something exciting. His eyes twinkled with mischief, but he kept the details to himself for now. Throughout the day, he dropped hints like, "I have something special arranged for tonight, and you're going to adore it." I smiled, imagining it might be a fancy dinner or a weekend trip he had booked as a surprise. When the evening finally arrived, I got ready, feeling more thrilled than usual. My husband had asked me to dress up, but hadn't provided any specifics. I picked a simple yet alluring dress that accentuated my curves perfectly, leaving just enough to the imagination. As I was finishing up, I heard the doorbell ring. I assumed it was a delivery or perhaps a surprise gift, but when I went to see, I was somewhat taken aback to find my husband's best friend standing there. I had known his friend for many years. He had always been a part of our lives, but mainly in a friendly manner. He was charming, humorous, and pleasant to be around, yet I had never thought of him in a romantic way. However, tonight felt different. As he entered the house, he gave me a knowing grin, and my husband welcomed him warmly. It was evident that this was part of some plan, though I still had no clue what that plan entailed. After some casual conversation, my husband took my hand and guided me into the living room, where candles were lit, casting a gentle glow throughout the space. Soft, sensual music filled the air, and my heart began to race slightly. I could sense the tension building, but I wasn't quite sure what was unfolding. My husband's friend settled onto the couch, observing us closely, while my husband drew me nearer, whispering in my ear, "Are you ready for your surprise?" I nodded, my curiosity heightened. He kissed me deeply, his hands gliding down my back, and for a brief moment, I forgot that we had company. Then I sensed another presence, another pair of eyes on me. When I glanced over, his friend was still there, watching us with a hint of a smile on his face. It was at that moment I understood what was happening. My husband had never hinted at anything like this before, but somehow, in that instant, everything became clear. I realized this was not going to be a typical birthday surprise. It was something much more profound, something that crossed lines we had never talked about. Instead of feeling shocked or uneasy, I found myself strangely thrilled. The thought of being with my husband and his closest friend simultaneously was something I had never envisioned, yet here it was, unfolding right before me. My husband drew me in closer, his kisses growing more passionate, while his friend gradually stood up and approached us. The atmosphere in the room was thick with anticipation and longing. My heart raced in my chest, and I could sense the warmth building among all of us. The tension was palpable. My husband leaned in and whispered in my ear again, "Do you trust me?" I nodded, unable to articulate my thoughts, as my body was already reacting to the exhilaration flowing through me. He smiled and kissed me once more, this time more deeply and urgently, his hands exploring my body and pulling me closer. I could feel his friend's presence drawing nearer, hearing his breath and the gentle rustle of his clothes as he moved behind me. My mind was racing, but I didn't stop him. I didn't halt either of them. As my husband's hands roamed my body, I felt his friend's hands join in. The two of them worked in perfect harmony, touching me, teasing me, pushing me further into a state of heated desire. My thoughts were swirling, caught between the excitement of this unexpected encounter and the overwhelming sensations taking control of my body. The three of us were completely absorbed. In that instant, I was ensnared in a mix of desire and enjoyment that I had never experienced before. My husband's friend leaned closer, his warm breath against my neck, causing me to shiver as I felt his lips brush my skin. My husband kissed me passionately, his hands gripping my hips, while his friend's hands explored my back. It was a moment unlike anything I had ever envisioned, and I found myself surrendering completely, allowing the two of them to take charge and reveal what they had in store for my birthday. The evening unfolded in a haze of fervent encounters, our bodies moving together in ways I had never known. It was wild, intense, and incredibly liberating. I felt as though I was part of something much greater than a mere physical connection. There was a profound sense of trust among the three of us, an unspoken link that permitted us to delve into these new sensations together without fear or doubt. As the night progressed, I became increasingly at ease with the situation. My husband and his friend seemed to instinctively know how to touch me, how to lead me to the brink of ecstasy and back again. It felt as if they had meticulously orchestrated every detail, understanding precisely what would challenge my boundaries and what would render the experience unforgettable. I had never felt more desired, more wanted than I did in that moment. The two of them adored my body, taking turns to explore every part of me, elevating me to levels of pleasure I had never known existed. It was intense, raw, and utterly exhilarating. I could sense their passion and desire, which only intensified my own longing. By the time the evening concluded, I felt utterly exhausted, lying between my husband and his friend, enveloped in a profound sense of fulfillment and connection. It was a birthday surprise like no other, one that I would always remember. My husband kissed me gently, his hand resting on my hip, while his friend looked at me with a warm and affectionate smile. We didn't need to say much afterward. There was no necessity, as the night had been flawless, and we all recognized it. As I lay there, my mind was flooded with thoughts about what had just transpired. I never envisioned being part of something like this, but now that it had occurred, I couldn't picture my life without it. It was exhilarating, thrilling, and completely unforeseen. The following morning, when I awoke, my husband was already up preparing breakfast. His friend had departed early, leaving just the two of us to contemplate the previous night. I smiled at my husband, feeling an overwhelming sense of love and gratitude for him. He had gifted me the most extraordinary birthday surprise, one that had expanded the limits of our relationship in the most positive way. As I sipped my coffee, my husband leaned over and kissed me gently, whispering, "Happy birthday," with a playful grin on his face. I returned the smile, aware that this marked the start of a new phase in our relationship, one filled with trust, passion, and perhaps a few more unexpected surprises. It was a night I would always remember, a birthday that transformed everything. As I sat there contemplating all that had occurred, I couldn't help but feel immensely fortunate to have a husband who understood me so deeply and could surprise me in ways I never anticipated. As the days went by, I found myself unable to stop thinking about that evening. It felt like a hidden memory, one that lingered in the back of my mind, replaying itself during my quiet moments. My relationship with my husband had always been solid, but this experience had drawn us even closer, forging a connection that felt unbreakable. We had shared something so personal and exhilarating, leaving me yearning for more. Each time I gazed at my husband, I could see those same thoughts reflected in his eyes. There was a silent understanding between us, a feeling that something had changed, and we both appreciated it. He would look at me with that playful sparkle, reminding me of what we had experienced, sending a thrill down my spine. Yet, there was also a question lingering between us, one we hadn't yet confronted. Was that night a singular event, or was it the start of something new? One evening, about a week after my birthday, we found ourselves sitting together on the couch, simply unwinding. After a long day, my husband was browsing through his phone while I was deep in thought when he suddenly glanced up at me, his eyes shining with that familiar hint of mischief. "I've been thinking," he began, his tone low and playful, "about your birthday surprise." My heart skipped a beat. I had been pondering it too, but hearing him mention it made everything feel so much more tangible. "Yeah," I replied, attempting to keep my voice calm even though my heart was racing. He moved closer to me on the couch, his hand sliding up my thigh in that way that always sent a jolt through my body. "Did you enjoy it?" he asked, his tone a bit more serious now, though there was still a teasing lilt to his words. I nodded, biting my lip. "You know I did," I responded, my voice barely above a whisper. He flashed that same mischievous smile that always made my knees weak. "Good," he said softly, leaning in to kiss me. His lips were warm and gentle, and as he kissed me, I felt all the emotions from that night flooding back. The passion, the excitement, the thrill of something fresh and unexpected. When he pulled away, he gazed into my eyes, searching for something. "Would you want to do it again?" he asked, his voice quiet, as if he were sharing a secret. My pulse quickened at his question, the thought of experiencing it once more. It had crossed my mind several times since my birthday, but I wasn't certain how to bring it up. Now that he had mentioned it, I felt a wave of excitement. "Maybe," I said, my tone playful yet serious at the same time. "Are you thinking what I think you're thinking?" He grinned again, his hand giving my thigh a slight squeeze. "I might be," he teased, but there was a depth in his eyes that indicated he was more than just joking around. "I've been talking to him," he said softly, referring to his friend. He enjoyed it too, quite a lot. A rush of warmth spread through me at his words, bringing back vivid memories of his friend's hands on me and his lips against my skin. The idea of experiencing that again, sharing something so personal with both of them, sent a thrill coursing through me. "What are you suggesting?" I asked, though I already had an inkling of the answer. My husband leaned in closer, his voice lowering to a whisper. "I'm suggesting that maybe we don't have to limit ourselves to just one night." My breath caught in my throat at his suggestion. The thought of making this a recurring aspect of our relationship, of exploring this new dimension together, was both thrilling and daunting. But as I gazed into his eyes, I could see how much he desired this, how eager he was to share this experience with me once more, and I realized that I wanted it too. "I think I'd like that," I whispered, my voice barely above a murmur, but my intent was unmistakable. His smile grew wider, and he kissed me again, this time with greater urgency and passion. I could sense the anticipation growing between us, the same undeniable energy that had ignited on my birthday night. In that instant, I realized this was merely the start of something fresh and exhilarating in our relationship. A few days later, my husband approached me with another unexpected plan. Once again, he had been speaking with his friend, and together they had arranged for another evening, just like the one we had previously shared. However, this time, there was no birthday to commemorate, no special event at all. It was simply an opportunity for us to explore this evolving dynamic, pushing the limits of our connection in ways we never had before. When the night finally came, I was once again overwhelmed by that familiar blend of eagerness and thrill. I chose an outfit that was both alluring and bold, fully aware that the night ahead would be intense, one I would always remember. My husband and his friend arrived, and the moment they stepped through the door, I could immediately feel the charged atmosphere. This time, there were no formalities, no need for introductions or polite conversation. We all understood exactly what was about to unfold, and the tension in the air was undeniable. My husband wrapped his arms around me, pulling me in for a deep kiss, while his friend stood nearby, his gaze filled with the same hunger as before. The three of us moved in perfect harmony, as though we had done this countless times. There was no hesitation, no second-guessing, just raw, uninhibited passion. The intensity of the night surpassed even that of my birthday, and I found myself completely immersed in the moment, surrendering to the pleasure. Every touch, every kiss, every second was electric. By the time the night came to an end, I was utterly spent, lying amidst tangled sheets and entwined bodies, feeling more fulfilled than ever before. My husband pressed a gentle kiss against my lips, his hand resting on my hip, while his friend smiled at me, his eyes radiating warmth and tenderness. This was no longer just a fleeting experience. It had become something more, an integral part of our relationship. As I lay there, basking in the lingering glow of the night, I understood that I was not only at peace with it, I was genuinely excited for what lay ahead, for the new experiences still to come. If you've been enjoying my stories, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. There's plenty more on the way, and you won't want to miss a single moment. Trust me, the surprises are just beginning.